Hello there. We have a thought for the day, for today. And this thought comes from History is Wrong by Erich von Daniken. So this comes from, I'm reading from page 71. It's called The Miracle of Misinformation. And they're talking about television, or he's talking about television. The marvel of television is one means that's being used to try and turn society into a uniform mush. The manipulation and thought control inexorably continues. Mankind is being rinsed out into a group of dull moralists who convince themselves that they are good people. Their view of the world is fabricated by the mass media, and the bosses and chief editors of the electronic media are just the henchmen for unnecessary councils, advisory boards of political commissions, and contingents who don't miss a single chance to get involved in things, regardless of whether or not they have a clue what they're talking about. TV programs with opinions that contradict any religion, regardless of which one, are not permitted. That's what I've come to. Our unscientific nature, our faith in some rubbish or other, dominates our lives. The massive flood of information out there has just made us sluggish. We'd rather vegetate in front of the TV than read a book with an attentive and critical eye. We'd rather laze on the beach in Hurghada than take a closer look at the Great Pyramid. Today's young people mess around with their computers. Their monitors spew out data that interests no one and is therefore immediately consigned to the trash can of forgetfulness. What does it help us in this electronic age to have thousands of times the amount of information available if nothing ever gets done with it? Yes, we surf through it, but we never really dive in. The internet manipulates us because we believe that we can just call up anything we want, and that makes us well informed. IT stands for information trickery. The net only spits out what somebody else has already typed in. So you'll find it hard, dear reader, to find either apocryphal texts or Manetho's list of Egyptian kings, not to mention the complete translation of Mahabharata by Chandra Roy from 1888. Much of what we know about the net is just illusion. We are fumbling around in the dark when we go looking for ancient texts that are never likely to end up online. Garbage in, garbage out. So there will never be any cross-indexing. The omniscient internet is one-sided and basically already a manipulation of those who believe that they can rely on it, entered for the like-minded among the like-minded. Today's mouse potatoes behave like all people who think along the same lines from the very moment they sit down at the keyboard. Just like semi-conscious patients, all twitching in time with each other. It doesn't even shock me anymore because I know how the system works. There are no cross-linkages outside of the net. They're simply unknown. Thus, a kind of psychosis of faith has arisen. You could almost describe it as a culture of hangers-on, which has become routine in our allegedly so well-informed society. Connecting the past with the future is unthinkable for a single-track mind, but the two are nevertheless utterly intertwined. And anyone who hasn't figured that out yet had better learn quickly, because the future is about to be overrun by the past. How are we going to behave when Enoch's alien friends actually return? He's talking about the Elohim here. And that they are going to return is as sure as night follows day. For those who are interested, I recommend my book, Der Gotterschock, The God Shock. Are we going to suffer a God shock? The fact that our thinking is manipulated from the moment of our births is illustrated nicely, or nastily, if you prefer, in the following example that has stuck in my mind since hearing a lecture by Professor Karl Steinbuch some 40 years ago. In one country, children are brought up to be churchgoers. In another country, to be Muslims. And neither society considers that simply switching the babies could make an otherwise Christian child into a Muslim, or vice versa. This simple insight demonstrates the fundamental nature of any indoctrination. So I'm going to stop there, but I'm going to say, what's he talking about here? He's talking about what happens to us when we fail to connect the dots. He calls it cross-indexing or cross-linking. We don't put stuff together from the net. We just consume the information and move on like information junkies. So think about that as you go through your day. What do you read, listen to, see, watch, etc. on the net that really feeds your soul, feeds your world, and allows you to put a better world together? Okay? All we need is a different culture, and we could be totally different people. All we need is different propaganda, and we could be totally different people. So have a good day.